Hey, we're back. Thanks for joining us. We're back here. We have a table for 7 billion, a reservation.
Just
Reservations
one.
are hard to get. Olivier's eating. He's chewing. He's chewing thoroughly, which is always good. You should
Oh
always
my God,
chew
that
your
was so
food.
good. I was eating a piece of cheese. I'm cleaning my fridge, and I found all these cheeses. One I'm going to clean. That's a piece of Comté, chef. Look at that. Old Comté.
Oh, that's a
Ooh.
fabulous cheese.
And I have a piece of feta that's a little bit old, and I'm going to show you how to clean it. Okay?
Okay. Good deal. Good deal.
All
When
right.
I tuned in a little bit ago, Olivier was cooking a tri-tip, a pair of tri-tip steaks. Ooh, look at those.
Wow. So
Tell us what you did there.
all I did is sear them first,
Uh-huh.
each side for 3-4 minutes until they get very like a nice crust.
Yeah.
Lots of salt and oil, and then I went to the oven, 375 for 10 minutes. Done. It's perfect.
Nice.
Now let it cool in the pan. You have to let it cool for 10-12 minutes before you cut it up, okay? And maybe later I'm going to show you how to cut it, how perfect it is. Tri-tip is a really good meat to make a 1 or 2 steaks like I did, so I can eat for the whole week. My food is done. My protein is okay, super good stuff. So great. My son is going to have some nice sandwiches with that.
Well, there's all kinds of things you can do. You can make a steak salad. You could do sandwiches.
Fajitas. You can do fajitas, all kind of things. Yeah.
You could just do a little stir fry with some rice and vegetables and throw the steak on there. It's all kinds of stuff.
Or you can just eat it.
Or you could just eat it, which is probably what I would do right out of the. Well, I would take it out and let it warm up a little bit.
Right?
But it's very good.
Yeah, Scott, tri-tip is really good steak. I got a really good one from Berkeley Bowl from, I forgot the farm. I think it's Temple's Creek, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very, very good meat. So I know it's going to be good for me. If you don't eat meat, then it's not going to be good for you, right?
Well, it might still be good for you.
It's going to be good for you.
You just won't be eating
You're
it.
missing about it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
so today, chef, we're gonna go back to our old life of cocktail makers.
That's right. We've talked a lot about the bar, and so we thought we would talk about tools a little bit and making cocktails. And we're not going to do a whole cocktail class or anything. We might do that at some point. But we were going to do a couple things, and I wanted to show. First of all, this is a book that Olive and I wrote several years ago. It's all about the bar, as you can see by the title. And it's the first half is all about the major spirits and a little history, how they're made, how they're used. And then the second half of the book, or the second, I guess it's really like in thirds. So the last third of the book is all about cocktails, and it's essays. There's a lot of I wrote about the different tools, the different glasses, and then we have a whole bunch of recipes. It's a really good book.
It was a really good book, actually.
Yeah, yeah. So I still am tending bar a couple nights a week at Cesar, and I really like it. It's fun, and I also tend bar at home. I make drinks at home for guests, for my wife, for the children.
Drivers, bus drivers.
I make margaritas a lot at home for Sydney, but for the kids, just half sizes, because it'd be wrong to give them a whole margarita. So I wanted to talk about some really, really basic bar tools. I mean, you don't need a whole lot. Most of what you need, you probably already have, a paring knife and stuff.
The first thing you need is thirst.
You need thirst, which I almost always have. I'm almost always hungry, and I'm almost always thirsty. But one of the most basic tools for making good cocktails is a shaker. And for years, I always used what's called a Boston shaker, which is essentially a glass, like a pint glass you get in a pub, and then a metal top, and you put them together and you shake the drink. But I and many other bartenders around the country have discovered in recent years the beauty of the all stainless
Oh
cocktail
yeah,
shaker.
no glass.
And the beauty of it is, first of all, it's not going to break, so you can kind of toss it around. When you shake a drink, it gets cold really fast. In fact, I'll shake a drink like this until I can barely hold the container. It gets so cold.
Wow.
I really like it, and it's just faster. It's lighter too. So by the time you get liquid and ice in here, in the regular one with the glass part, it gets pretty heavy, and it
Mm.
doesn't seal as perfectly. This really seals. And what you want to do, you want to put it in so that this is basically a straight line here. So what I do is I measure the drink. I measure everything into the small container. A standard rule of practice is start with the least expensive ingredient. So you start with like if you're making a margarita, I put the lime in first. Then I put a little bit of triple sec in, some kind of triple sec. Whether if I'm feeling rich, I use Cointreau. If not, I buy a Bowls triple sec at Trader Joe's that makes a perfectly good margarita. And the reason you start with the cheaper ingredient is because if you mess up, or if you spill something, or if you just realize you've done the wrong ingredient, the wrong quantity, you haven't wasted anything. So you always put the spirit in last. So I measure all the ingredients in here. I fill this with ice, and again, put this on, flip it over so that you've got this basically should be a straight line here. And when you do that, it seals really nicely, and you can shake with two hands if you want. A lot of people are afraid that it's going to go flying off somewhere. I usually just do this because at the bar at Cesar, I'm often doing two at a time.
Yeah,
So
right.
it
I've
helps
seen
to be
that.
able
That's
to,
crazy.
yeah, it helps to be able to do what's really good. And what really impresses people who are sitting at the bar is when I'm making a shaken drink and I'm also doing a stirred drink.
I know.
And
I've
so I'm
seen.
shaking and I'm stirring at the same time, which took me a while to learn how to do. And everybody's going, "Oh, look at that. It's like patting your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time."
I've seen Bill do that. I didn't know you could do that. That's really cool.
Yeah. So why shake and why stir? What's the difference? This has been a controversy for a long time.
It's not a controversy. It's a preference.
Right.
It's not a
Well,
controversy. It's really,
Well, the basic rule of thumb at our bar is that if a drink is all if it's all booze, in other words, like a Manhattan or a martini or something that's all booze, we stir it. Or a Negroni is a good example because you want the drink to be cold, but you also want it to look really bright and fresh. You don't want, if you shake it, it's going to get really cloudy, and it'll clear up in time, and it's fine if you want to do it that way. But we stir them so that they stay really clean and sharp looking.
yeah, yeah.
And then if a drink has juice in it, like a margarita or a sidecar, anything that's got some citrus in it, you want to shake it because it's just going to mix it better. You really want to mix that. And if it's got any sugar in it at
And you have
all,
to, and then you pour on fresh ice, right? It's always on fresh ice.
right. Well, if I'm using small ice cubes, I will often pour the drink into the glass and then I'll add the ice. I don't do that if it's a salted rim, otherwise the salt's all getting in the drink. And also we use the king cubes a lot. They're big
Those are great. Oh my God, I
square
love those.
cube. If I use
So
those,
cool.
I put those in the drink first, because if you try to put one of those in after you've poured the drink in, it's just gonna splash drink everywhere. So, and the king cubes are great because they melt much slower.
Right,
There's
right,
just more surface area,
right.
so your drink stays cold, but it doesn't get watery.
Now, James, those are pricey, right? Those are expensive.
No,
No,
these
no,
aren't bad.
the ice, that special ice.
Oh, the king cubes? You can buy just you get these little silicone
Right.
ice cube trays. It makes 6 cubes, and
Right.
I don't know, they're a few bucks. They're not too
Because
expensive.
no, but what I'm saying is like some bar, they buy them all done. They have an ice machine special for that, right?
Yeah, the ice
Because otherwise
machines.
you can't make that. You can't like you can make a few, but that's all. If you don't have a freezer in the bar, what do you do?
Yeah, yeah. There's Hitazaki, the people that make the best ice
Right.
machines. They
That's what I'm
do one
saying.
that makes those king cubes, and they're about $10,000. So,
Yeah, no. It's pricey.
um,
So yeah,
so it's nice to. I mean, for home use, you just get the little silicone trays. For a bar, it's a little more difficult. We use the silicone trays at Cesar because we just don't have anywhere to put the ice machine, and I think we have about 8 of those trays. So at any given time, there's plenty of frozen ones that we can grab. But
yeah,
so I was going to say one more thing about shaking and stirring. The uh, the the arguments usually center around a martini. Some people like their martinis shaken, some people like them stirred. And either way is fine, whatever you want to do. But at Cesar, what we generally do is for gin martini, we stir it so that it stays real
yeah,
clean and bright
yeah,
looking.
yeah.
Vodka martinis, we've come to decide that people that order vodka martinis just want it super cold and they don't care. So we shake and we don't put any vermouth in the vodka martinis because we've also found that people that order them they just want it super dry and super cold.
Oh
So we
wow.
just shake the hell out of a vodka martini and then we double strain. Now the other thing we do is if we shake a drink in a metal,
What's double strain, James?
well, I was going to tell you, if we shake a drink in this metal container, you get a lot of little shards of ice. So when we do that, we always double strain, which means we take our what's called a Hawthorne strainer and we put it on the container, and then we take just a little mesh strainer
Oh,
and we
okay.
pour it through the mesh strainer, and it just
That's
catches all those little ice shards, so it makes the drink
okay.
a little cleaner. You don't have to do it, but it when you're serving drinks professionally, you want them to look really clean and neat and
You, you
everything.
mean you mean when you're charging $14 for it, right?
When we're charging 14, ours are most of our cocktails are $12,
Oh, that's
which
not
is
bad. I mean, that because that's really good alcohol, right? You use a good
we
lot of
use
good
really
stuff.
good alcohol. Even our
That's
well,
that's not
which
bad,
is
huh? I mean, of course, compared to when I was working, it's crazy,
sure it's gone up, but
but
you know
that's yeah, it's
some people charge $14, $15 for
yeah. I've
cocktails.
seen.
So
That's what I was thinking. That's crazy.
and
I mean, that's great.
we also have a really good well, and by well I mean the spirits that if you order a gin martini, it's the gin that we would just use. It's the house gin or the house
Guys,
tequila or the house
I'm
rum or whatever.
I'm cooking as James is doing stuff. Okay, I had all these sweet potatoes. They were getting old, so I baked them at 400 degrees with olive oil. That's it. Now
Nice.
they're beautiful. Look at that.
You know what else you can do with those? You can cut them up into little sticks, toss them in olive oil, and bake them that way, and they're like little sweet potato fries. I mean, you
Right.
could fry them too, but we do them in the oven, and then we make a little dipping sauce, a little
Yep.
yogurt
Yep.
and lime and some.
I'm gonna make a chipotle aioli.
Oh, nice. So anyway, that's what people mean when they say they want. If they talk about well liquor, it means you've got this rail in front of you with you've got a
It's the
gin, a
house.
vodka, a
It's the
tequila, a
house.
rum.
House.
It's
House alcohol.
right, right. Um, and then people say they want to order a top shelf liquor, and what they mean by that is they just want a better
They want
quality
the
spirit.
highest
Yeah,
vodka, so they can look at your butt.
right, right. And a lot of people call their spirits, and there's nothing wrong with that. I am often amused when somebody wants, like, they order a very expensive vodka, but they want it mixed with orange juice or
I
grapefruit
know.
juice. I think, you know,
Oh,
you're really not tasting it, but they think it's a better drink, and it probably is. But
it is.
we use a very good vodka as the well vodka, so it's sort of
Which one is it?
we use Finlandia right now,
I
which
like
is
Finland. Yeah. It's very
yeah,
clean.
very
So
good. It's clean.
clean is
It's
important, right?
yeah,
So as you understand, the cleanness of alcohol is super important. This is what you need to understand is when you buy cheap alcohol, that's gonna really hurt you, like
yeah,
really. So I know it's like budgets are always an issue, but when you put something in your stomach, in your body, that is a poison, because that's a poison, your liver is gonna really not like it. So
yeah.
you need a good alcohol. I know We always say that. We always talk about the quality of whatever we put in our body, but it is important.
Yeah. And you can get good quality spirits for not a huge amount of money. I mean, when you're
Right.
talking
And
about,
whatever. I mean, drink less, something, I don't know. Like
yeah,
you have to drink the good stuff. Alcohol could be a tricky thing, and it's not too much of an issue if you drink the good stuff, right?
right.
Anyway.
So I wanted to show one more thing. I was going to get some tools from work and show, but I didn't get a jigger. A jigger is a little like hourglass shaped measuring device that the one we use is a 1 ounce on one end and a 2 ounce on the other side. Some of them have different measurements. Some of them are 1.5 ounces and something. But ours is 1 ounce and 2 ounces, and then inside there are little lines. So if you want to do a 1/4 ounce, it's really easy to see. But the other measure I like is this one from OXO, which is
I like this one.
just a little measuring cup.
Yeah.
I have this plastic one at home. We have stainless steel ones at work, and it's designed so that you can look down into, because normally when you put something in a measuring cup, you've got to get down on its level to see. This one is designed so you can look into it. You can see the
That's great.
measurements are there.
That's really cool.
And this
Those
is
are
really
great.
great. I especially
Good
like
idea.
these if I'm pouring shots and I just want to pour 2 ounces of alcohol. It's really easy and fast to do. So I use this at home pretty much exclusively, and it works really well. It's easy to read, and it's really important to measure your ingredients when you're making cocktails, because it makes for consistency and it just makes for better drinks. I mean, you can eyeball it if you want to, but I've learned over the years, and I used to eyeball all my drinks. We always
Me
used to
too. Me
free
too.
pour.
Never.
And now we measure everything, because it just, first of all, when you're in a professional bar, it's also true that when somebody comes in and orders a drink, if they order a Negroni or a margarita, you want it to be the same no matter who makes it for them and what day it is. You want that drink to be the same. So that's why measuring is very important. Yeah, so cocktails are great.
Should we show them how to make a little syrup, like a lime syrup?
Yeah,
So
I wanted to talk about sugar at the bar.
Are you making still a lime
We make
syrup?
we make 2 simple syrups at work. We do a plain simple syrup with no flavoring, and then we do a lemon mint simple syrup, or just I guess it's just a mint simple syrup, and we use that for a drink that we do. So there's 2 ways you can, or there's lots of ways you can sweeten drinks. You can use liqueurs, you can use sugar, or you can use simple syrup. Now, if you're using sugar for a drink, there's 2 ways. There's regular sugar and there's simple syrup. Now, if you're going to use sugar, you don't want to use regular table sugar, because the granules are too big, and no matter how hard you shake that drink, that sugar is going to end up settling to the bottom. So your drink is not going to be balanced right. The sugar is all going to be at the bottom of the drink. And so if you're going to use sugar, we use what's called bar sugar, or it's a super fine sugar. It's not powdered sugar, but it's ground super fine, so that it really will meld with juice and the spirits and everything and stay suspended.
I think I can show you the difference.
Yeah. Now, if you can't find super fine sugar, you can also take regular sugar and put it in a little spice grinder, a little coffee grinder, and grind it.
See the difference?
Yeah. Of course, the problem is if you grind a lot of spices, then you probably don't want to do sugar in the same one, or it's going to be flavored.
That's my big sugar organic that I have here, right?
Yeah, that looks like organic sugar.
Super fine. See?
Yeah.
Like, almost like flour.
Yeah.
It's not the powdered sugar. Powdered sugar has flour, has corn starch.
Yeah.
This is just sugar. So this is what you want.
Yeah.
Something fine like this, right?
Now, the other thing you can do is use simple syrup, which is really good because it blends much better than sugar usually does.
I'm going to show you how to do.
And simple syrup is really easy to make. You can make it at home, and it keeps. You can put it. What we do is we have like a little Coke bottle, and we just fill this Coke bottle and put a pouring spout on it, and we keep it in the fridge.
Or you can do that. This is half and half water and sugar. right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever sugar you want. And then if I want to do a lime one, I can just squirt some lime in there.
And you can make
right?
as much as you want, but the proportion stays the same. It's half and
Yeah.
half.
So I
So
put
you
half
can,
a lime in there.
if you want to make a whole bunch, you can use 2, 3, 4 cups of sugar, but as long as it's equal to the water.
I'm gonna go on a quick boil. Couple of minutes, done. I'm gonna put the whole lime. It's gonna be a lot, but it's gonna taste really good.
And do you stir it while it's cooking, or?
I just kind of give it a little. It's gonna.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't want the sugar to stay in the bottom.
And what it'll do is it's gonna basically, you're melting the sugar, and
Yeah.
it's blending with the water, and you're gonna create a syrup.
And
And
if I have some mint right here, right?
yeah, and once you do that, it'll stay suspended. So you've got this syrup which will last for,
I'm gonna put some.
weeks.
I'm gonna put some basil. It's gonna be fun.
That'd be nice. Yeah, and
So I
that's
have
the
some
other
dried
thing. You
basil
can
here that I
make
keep.
different flavored ones for doing
James, I
different
have some
kinds of drinks.
dried basil I keep here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, that's mint. Ooh, perfect.
Oh, even better.
And I'm gonna drink a quick boil, like a couple of minutes, and that's it.
Yeah. Now there are sometimes I really like, it's important to have sugar at the bar, because for some drinks we sugar the rim of the glass.
Right.
So obviously you need sugar for that. I like to use sugar when I make a mojito, because I think that the sugar gives a little more coarseness when you're muddling the mint, so it breaks it up easier. It's not absolutely necessary, but I like to do that. Otherwise, for most drinks, for old fashions and all kinds of stuff, we use simple syrup, which is.
It smells really good.
And you can make several different ones. If you're having a party, you could make a plain. You could do a mint. You could do something with thyme in it for some drinks. You could flavor it with lemon or lime, or you could even do orange, I suppose.
That's how you do your candied orange.
Right.
The candied orange are done like that. So that brings to a boil. So I'm gonna let it boil for like, I don't know, 5 minutes, 6 minutes. It's gonna thicken a little.
Yep. So a lot of the water is evaporating, the sugar is melting, and what you're going to end up with is this very thick syrup.
And that's great if you want to do some cool sodas. That's way better than that. You can put a teaspoon, and then club soda, and then ice, and then a lime or lemon.
It makes a really good non-alcoholic drink, but yet it's still fancy enough that you feel like you're participating in the party, without having alcohol.
Wow, that smells good. There's something we used to get at Cesar a long time ago, elderberry, remember?
Yeah.
Elderberry syrup. You can do an elderberry syrup also.
Mm-hmm.
You can do tea in there, herbs.
Right.
Make something really cool. Cardamom.
Yeah.
Wow.
Simple syrup's great, and like I said, if you're doing a party, you can make this well ahead of time. You can make it days before. Just keep it in the refrigerator; it stays good. And and I also, like I said, put a regular pouring spout into a bottle, a soda bottle or a wine bottle or anything.
Right.
And that way when you've got a pour spout, it's easier to measure because it's not pouring out as quickly, so you can control the pour better. Because a lot of times when you're using simple syrup, you really only want like a half ounce in a drink, sometimes less, but half ounce is usually sufficient.
James, if you're talking about spike, you need to talk about the cleaning part. They get very gunky.
Yeah.
And if you're using spout, you need to clean your bottles regularly, and that's something that you have to do. Otherwise,
they get pretty gross. Yeah. And it's not hard to clean them. Yeah, I mean, you can just every once in a while I'll pull one off, and especially with the Cointreau bottles, it gets really clogged. So I'll just pull it off, and I'll run it under hot water for a couple minutes.
Anything with sugar, exactly.
Yeah. But it makes a big difference at the bar, and it's not hard to make cocktails at home. It's not rocket science.
But you need glasses. You need a nice glass, right?
You need a nice glass. You need good quality booze.
I need a strainer.
That's the other thing about making drinks at home is you can afford to buy better liquor because you're not, you're not worried about your profit center, so you can use whatever kind of liquor you want. What's all that noise? Something's going on back there. So when if you're going to put herbs and things or fruit peels or anything like that in your simple syrup, then of course when you're done cooking it and it's all ready, you want to strain it, which is what Olive's going to do here.
All right, I'm gonna
Because
get.
you don't want to leave all that stuff in the syrup once you've cooked it.
Show it off. It's plenty of time. You don't need to go a lot, guys. It's quick and.
It's very quick.
Okay. Now it's gonna stick, right? So if I put that in there.
All right, here we go.
Beautiful. Wow,
Nice.
it smells super good. Oh my God. So that you can put in your tea also. Yeah, it smells really good. That
Yeah.
will make a great cocktail.
Yeah, you can flavor drink, any kind of drink with that. Hot drinks, cold drinks.
So now look at the liquidity. It's pretty liquid, right? You see?
Mm-hmm.
You can make it thicker if you want to. This is really a nice light syrup, light. If you
Right.
cook it more, then you get a thicker. Okay,
Right.
that's all.
So the longer you cook it, the more the water's going to cook off, and you're going to be left with the essence. But for making drinks, you don't need it too thick.
Yeah,
you just want to make sure that sugar is nicely suspended in the liquid. So
it smells really good, really good.
Give us all a taste, would you?
I'm going to test it in a minute. Okay, one thing you want to do not try simple syrup until it really cools out. It's super hot. It's not 212. It's more like 300 degrees sometimes, maybe 350. So that's when it turns caramel. So you cannot try it. You have to wait.
And once you put it in your mouth, it's too late. You can't get it out. It's not like a piece of meat you can.
It's not like a water either.
Yeah,
it's harder than that. Okay,
it's
so just
hot as hell.
Really wait. Wait like 5-10 minutes. Even if I put my hand, I can feel the heat coming out really big time. My metal bowl is really hot, super hot.
Which means you really want to be careful when you're cooking it too. You don't want to knock that pan around and knock that on the floor because you could really burn yourself. And years ago, I was making flan once, and for a holiday, and I had the caramel sauce going on the stove, and somebody turned and hit the handle of the pan and flipped it off. Fortunately, no one got hurt, but it hit the floor in my kitchen in New York and just turned to glass on the floor. So I was down on the floor with hot water and a
oh my
God, it was such a mess.
That was the last time you did that, right?
No, I had to, and it was Thanksgiving, so I had to clean it all up, get the floor clean, wash the pan, and then start all over and make the caramel again because we were making a flan. It was one Thanksgiving. My sister came down from Boston, and we decided to do a paella instead of a turkey. So
caramel is a terrible thing for the teeth, huh? You know that, huh?
Yeah, it's not something you want to eat every day.
Because and it removes the fillings if you have any.
I mean, with caramel, you're basically making a simple syrup, except you're burning it a little bit. You cook it until it browns, and it's delicious. But
it's delicious, but it's really not a good thing to eat.
Yeah,
I know it's like I keep saying that, but there's some stuff that, sugar is okay, I guess, sometime, but caramel is really tough on the body. But whatever.
Yeah.
Once in a while,
I eat flan so seldom that I don't worry about it too much. But yeah, you're right.
Chef, I found an old piece of feta in the fridge, and I want to show you that when you have a piece of cheese that you forgot for some reason, don't throw it away. Let's check it out. Let's see what it looks like, right? So I'm going to put
the only kind of mold on cheese that you really want to avoid is when it's black. If you pull a piece of cheese out of the fridge and it's got black mold, you should throw it away.
So this one is kind of reddish, which is not great.
Yeah.
Right? It's an old feta that I found. Feta should be fine, right? I'm not worried about the cheese. I'm just saying.
Ideally, you should store feta in brine.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But
okay. So this is a little bit, you see, It's not like I'm smelling it. It's okay. It's not a big deal. So I'm gonna take that out part, right?
Right.
It's called facing the cheese. So this is a restaurant term. It's what
Yep.
you do in restaurant, right? You just face the cheese. You see? Ah, it looks pretty good. It's not so
Yeah.
bad. You can also scrape it like this, right?
Yeah, with a soft cheese like that, you can just scrape it off.
Okay, you scrape it all the stuff.
A
So you
hard
don't
cheese
waste
is a
that.
little easier to slice on the broad
Right,
side.
right. And I think I'm good. See, look at that.
As long as
Wow.
it smells good, tastes good, it's fine. Now that kind of mold wouldn't be pleasant to eat. Probably wouldn't hurt you any, but it's not so pleasant.
I have a great idea. I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna show you how to store in water and salt. So let me wash my hand.
Good
I'm
idea.
gonna show you how to actually keep that feta. And
When feta, it's important to know how feta is made. When it's made traditionally, I mean, 100 years ago, they used big wood barrels, and they would fill them full of brine, and they would age the cheese in these barrels. They would just stack it up in the barrels. Um, Feta is a Greek word. It means slice, basically. So, and that's what they would do. They would make these cheeses, and they would just slice off these pieces, and they would stack them in a barrel and fill it with salt water. And that's where it would stay, and you would just pull them out to use them. A lot of times when you buy feta, there are some fetas you can buy in brine. And if it doesn't come in brine, that's fine, but you should take it out of the wrapper when you get home and put it in brine.
actually,
It's
I'm
the
gonna do
best
it right
way to
now.
store it. Yeah.
So basically, let's see. Do I have any small one? Yeah. All right. Let's say I take a plastic thing. You could do glass. I don't have any glass right here, but. And all you need, guys. So I'm gonna clean that. Take this.
And you can cut it
Cut it
up
in
in
two.
pieces. If you have a container that you can't put the whole piece in, just cut it up in pieces. There you go. It's like you read my mind.
Okay. Now I'm gonna pour water with a big pinch of salt.
Yeah, plenty of salt.
Where's my salt? Right here.
Yeah, you don't want to use the sugar.
So a teaspoon, big teaspoon, water.
Water just to cover it.
And that's it. Little more salt. And that's how you keep it. This is your new feta cleaned up. I kept all the stuff. Now I have my feta thing, right?
Now that's a really good thing to do when you buy feta.
Yeah.
Is bring it home, take it out of the plastic wrapper, and put
Boom.
it into brine like that. And like I said, if you're using a container like that, you just cut it up in little chunks. I personally think it's a good idea to unwrap all your cheeses when you bring them
Oh yeah.
home.
See, this is it. Look at this.
Yeah.
And you can put. So sometimes I put rosemary in there, any herb to
Sure.
flavor that water.
Sure.
So I'm gonna take that away.
And then you want to keep that in the refrigerator still.
Yes.
But most cheese that you buy in the store is wrapped in plastic, which is fine. They do it that way because it's easy to do, it's expedient, it keeps the cheese from going bad, and it allows you to see the cheese.
Yep.
But you don't want to leave cheese in plastic for a long time. You want to get it out of there.
No.
So just
No.
unwrap it, wrap it up in some cheese paper or some parchment paper, something that the cheese can still breathe a little bit, and keep it in the fridge. And like I keep saying too, just don't buy more cheese than you're going to use in a couple of days,
Unless you're gonna eat it, like we do.
Right. But I mean, if you're you don't buy a huge piece of cheese, because it's not going to improve in your fridge.
So this big guy I had, the way I keep it, that Conte right here, old Conte, beautiful, right?
Still
I'm
got
gonna wrap it. I'm just gonna wrap it loose.
rind on it.
I'm just gonna do a loose wrap. So basically, when I wrap this one, I'm just gonna go like this. That's it. So it will dry anyways. It will dry a little bit, right? But the plastic is not on the edge. So it'll dry. Okay, it'll get drier and drier. That's fine. I can't. It's fine. It's not gonna go bad. It's just gonna get drier and drier. That's all. Pretty
And
cool, huh?
that's probably a bigger piece of cheese than most people would
Right.
buy,
No, I understand.
unless you eat a lot of it. I love Comté. So Comté is a kind of Gruyere. Um, I mean, it's in the Gruyere family, so it's that type of cheese. It's a cow's milk. It's a pressed, cooked cow's milk cheese, so it's got a very smooth texture. It's really, really good. It's made up
Yeah.
in the mountains. It's got a nutty character to it. It's a beautiful cheese, and you can melt it too, so it's great for
Right.
doing like
This
gratin
has
kind
this
of
has a
thing.
little, that has a stronger flavor than Gruyere, a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
A little bit. It's very similar though. Yeah.
So,
And so, James, because you're talking about cocktail earlier, what is the origin of the name then?
cocktails? Well, no one knows
I mean,
for sure, but there's a lot of theories.
right.
They usually involve
A
one
cock
theory. One of the
and a
most
tail.
plausible theories, I think, is that there was a guy in New Orleans in the 19th century who used to make, or he was back in the 18th century. He used to make these brandy drinks that had citrus in them and various things, but they were brandy based. And he would make them and stir them up, and he would serve them in little egg cups. Now, an egg cup in French is a coquetier.
Ah, yeah. Cocotier.
Coquetier. So that's what he called them. And so a lot of people think that that's where the word came from, that it just morphed like we do. We take foreign
Yeah.
words in
Yeah.
English over time, they just get muddled, and
Yeah.
eventually it became cocktail.
Right.
There are other theories that actually involve cocktails, cock meaning a male chicken, a
Right.
rooster,
Yeah.
and the tails for various reasons. Anything involving taking a chicken's tail and mixing it with a drink sounds really dangerous and unsanitary to me. So I don't know why anybody would do that. But
I know, right? It's like what came first, the cocktail or the chicken?
which came first, the cocktail or the salmonella? Uh, there's another theory that for racehorses, when they clip their tails and they tie them so they sort of stand up, that's called a cocked tail, cocked tail. And there is a theory that they used to mix up these little alcoholic drinks and feed it to the horses, and it would their tail would go up. And so to get a
Oh,
cocked
wow.
tail, it made the horse look more pedigree or something. I don't know. I don't really
But
understand what the point of it was.
the cocktails evolved after the prohibition, right?
Well, prohibition is when they really
Right.
became
Yeah. Right.
common, because
Because of the
suddenly
cheap
there was availability of ice
and also cheap alcohol, no?
and cheap alcohol.
So you had
And
to be.
there were a lot of things available for flavoring. There was all these different liqueurs that were available, and bitters. Shrubs were very big back then. These
Ah, it's funny.
vinegar-based flavor elements. So there was all kinds of stuff to mix with alcohol. And of course, everybody was, as soon as you tell somebody they can't have something, they're going to want it even more. So that's why prohibition was such a disaster. And yeah, so during the 20s and 30s is when cocktails, they weren't invented then, but that's
Right.
when they became very, very common. I mean, before
Because
that, if you went to a
one,
bar, you basically
yeah,
drank straight
right.
spirits,
So
or you drank beer.
one of the elements is because the alcohol was cheap. It was not good. It was kind of
Yeah,
it's kind of crappy stuff. So that's why they came up with a bunch of cocktails also. So it's drinkable, right?
yeah. Well, people used to make it themselves. There was also a lot of smuggling going on. We were bringing a lot of booze down from Canada, things like that. But a lot of people were just making their own. And
Yeah.
that's why gin and vodka were popular, especially gin, because it didn't need to be aged. You could
Yeah.
make it and serve it.
Oh, yeah, right.
Um, and you've probably heard the expression from the 20s, bathtub gin. And a
Yes,
lot of people thought that meant that they made big vats of
right,
gin in their bathtub. Well,
right.
no, that's not what it
No,
means,
they
because
took a bath in it.
that would be disgusting. They made it in these what's called a carboy, which is a big glass jar. Basically, anybody that gets bottled water delivered to their home knows what I'm talking about. It's a straight-sided round jar, straight-sided, that comes up and has a little neck at the top. Well, they're really big, and they used to make the booze in there. People make beer in those too. You can make all kinds of stuff, wine, but they're really big, so they're really hard to fill up with water in your kitchen sink. So people would take them into the bathroom and fill them up in the bathtub, because that's the only spout you could get this
Oh,
thing
okay.
under, and that's how it became known as bathtub gin.
That's funny.
So so yeah, cocktails have probably been around longer than they probably go back to the 18th century in some form or another.
Oh.
I don't think they really called them that then.
But what about those classic that we see at the Manhattan, the
Those
Rob
mostly
Roy, all these very classic, super classic. I mean, that's like. And what about I thought that Harris had a big influence. The bar
Harry's
It
Bar
took-
in Venice, yeah, which
i-
was owned by
in
an American named Harry.
in
Yeah,
Paris or
several
in Paris
cocktails
or
were invented over
Ven-
there.
in Paris or Venice?
Well, both. There's a branch in Paris and a branch in Venice. I think
I
might have
thought it
been
was
the
in
one
Paris,
in
but
Paris that the drinks were invented.
I thought that. But I'm
The one in
again.
Venice, they invented the Bellini, which is prosecco and apricot pulp, and not
Pico,
apricot,
peach.
peach. And but in Paris, they probably invented the sidecar, and also in Italy, they've invented the Negroni, which was
Yeah.
basically a variation on a drink called an Americano, which was
Yep.
just Campari and vermouth
That's what we have in
in a
France.
tall glass with soda.
Americano is what we drink in France.
Right. And somebody
And then you can put a little bit of gin as a
right.
floater, as a float.
And
Just to give you a little flavor. It's really good.
the story goes that a Count Negroni went into the bar in Italy and wanted an Americano, but he wanted with a little more kick. So they left out the soda and they added equal amount of gin, and
Oh, okay.
Negroni was
That's
born.
what it is. That's great.
The classic recipe for a Negroni is equal parts Campari,
Yeah.
sweet vermouth, and gin. At Cesar, we do slightly less of each of the vermouth and the Campari and just slightly more of the gin. I think it makes a better drink, but
And you serve that with an orange or lemon twist. I mean, orange
right,
twist is what you need, right?
we stir it, serve it up with a nice orange twist, which is nice. And that's another thing. And I'd love to demonstrate, but I don't have my stuff here. But when you do a twist, you want to do it right over the drink. So you have your little stripper and you strip off the little thin strip of peel. And what that does is it sends a little spritz of those oils
The
right
oil,
over the
yeah.
drink, which really,
That's how they flame. That's why those bartenders in the
yeah,
in the 80s they used to flame those. Remember
right.
oh my God, I came to a bar in LA, and there was this cocktail. There was a frou-frou drink. You know, it was the place I worked at was a jazz. It was called a big band restaurant.
Oh yeah.
So we had 20-piece band jazz. It was beautiful. It was very fancy and beautiful. And the cocktails, they were kind of frou-frou, right? So long stuff with a bunch of vegetables and fruit. And there was this one that was lighting, and it was called the Colossus something. It was a flame. So it's basically a piece of sugar that you put on a piece of fruit with 151 rum, right? So you just light it up. It's gonna go to the table and it's gonna light.
That's
and the
funny.
other thing we used to do is we used to go to a table, and with a lighter, we squeeze the orange and we light it up, and it kind of makes a little whatever.
That's the other thing. If you can also use a wide peel on a drink. You take basically a vegetable peeler and you just peel off a nice wide piece. You want to make sure you do it very thin. You don't want all that white pith in there. You just want the peel. And when you use one of those, you don't have to do it over the drink, but you take the peel and you kind of fold it in half and squeeze it, and you'll see a little spritz of oil will go into the drink.
Actually twist
really
it.
Nice.
You twist it. That's
you
the
can
name.
twist
that's
it too. You turn it like this, and you squeeze it with the outside of the peel down, and you squeeze it, and you'll see it'll just spritz a little.
But that's what the name comes from. The twist. The twist is literally a twist.
Yeah. when we do twists, we peel off the thing and then we wind them up into a little
Oh
coil and
yeah,
press it a little bit so it stays. And then I always like to
yeah,
droop one end out of the drink.
yeah.
And
So pretty. Cocktails are beautiful, huh? It's
yeah,
a
it's
really
all
cool
for
stuff.
show. It's all I mean,
But
restaurants are
hey,
theater anyway. So
you know that what I was. I know we had this discussion before, but the cool thing about being a bartender is you talk to the customer or the patron, and then you discuss his what he wants, right? And you're gonna produce entirely. You're gonna
right,
make it and serve it, and you can see the reaction right then.
right,
So you have immediate gratification. As in the kitchen, you don't have that because you don't see the people eating the food,
right,
right? As a
right.
bartender, you have immediate gratification. You can see, unless you're a really terrible bartender, then you're gonna be like people like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
In
it's the
which case,
same
you probably won't last very long.
it's the same speed. It's instant, but it's not gratification.
Yeah, I mean, a bartender's really kind of a form of a short order cook, because you've
Right.
got all your ingredients there, and then people say, "I want a Negroni, I want a margarita, I want this or I want that," and so then you use your ingredients and you mix it together, you shake it. You're not cooking it; you're usually just shaking it, and you
As
serve it to
long
them
as
and you
you
decorate it.
as long as you know what they are, what you know what to do, right? Like when I first
Right.
started, I didn't know any drinks. I had the Boston guide, my Boston guide read, and I would go really quick trying to find a drink when I
We
first
still,
started.
still somebody will come in sometimes at night, or this hasn't happened much lately, but it used to get somebody would come in and they'd say, "Oh, can you make a," and they'd have some wacky drink that
Right,
they'd had. But nowadays we'll whip out our phone, I'll look
right,
it up and I'll
yeah,
say,
right.
"Oh yeah, here's a recipe. Yeah, I can do that. I have all the ingredients."
That's crazy. Do
So,
you do you remember that horrible weird drink called the Harvey's Wallbanger? Remember that?
Harvey Wallbanger, yeah.
Oh my God,
Everybody had a
that's
bottle of
crazy.
Galliano behind the bar, and I think that's the only thing they used it for.
I know
We had
because when
remember
you
we had a bottle of Galliano behind the bar, and it probably was there for 10 years because you never use it. I don't even know what happened to it. I can't believe we used it up. Somebody probably took
Richard
it.
Richard drank it.
Yeah. Well, the other one that's kind of disgusting in my mind is the Long Island iced tea.
Oh, we talked about that already.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The
no, it's
one,
so the
a
the
shot
best,
of each of the white spirits, and then you
James,
finish it with Coke, and ugh,
the best is when people call a Long Island IC and they call for a cold vodka or a cold
yeah.
tequila. That's
What a
like
waste! What a waste
seriously,
of money!
seriously. Yeah, I want a Patron Long Island IC.
Oh my God.
No, you don't. You want to
That's
live.
like
That's what you want.
that's a person with way too much money
All right.
and they don't need.
Not enough thinking, and
Yeah.
then we have a lot of that, more and more.
My favorite cocktails. I mean, I don't drink cocktails that much, but when I do, I tend to think the best cocktails only have three ingredients: a spirit,
Right.
some sort of modifier, and some sort of flavoring. But there are some good drinks that have five and six
Yeah, yeah. No,
ingredients.
no. There's
We
some good
have
stuff.
some at work.
Because a lot of people now, they like my son Archie makes a great cocktail. He works in really cool bars. He's always like creating those really cool bar menu. He makes
Uh-huh.
some amazing stuff. And sometimes there is like a little bit of spice. There's a syrup that he has to make in advance. So sometimes they will go easy at four ingredients without being
Uh-huh.
so.
Well, and the more ingredients you use, then
Yeah,
it becomes even more important to measure because
right,
suddenly you're doing a quarter ounce of one thing and a half ounce of something. You want to be
right,
very careful when you make those drinks because they can get out of balance really quickly.
right.
Cameron, who's the general manager at
Yeah.
Cesar, he comes up with most of our house
Ah,
cocktails.
okay,
The
great.
bartenders do occasionally also, but Cameron's really the one. I mean, he's really into it and he loves coming up with new
Cameron is a
cocktails.
great, cool dude.
Yeah,
So what's happening
we'll
with
have him on
Cesar?
the show again.
Oh yeah,
So maybe it's time to talk about what's going on at Cesar.
yeah. So absolutely. So what's going on, James?
Well,
You know,
our landlord is our next door neighbor, Chez Panisse. Alice Waters, the owner of Chez Panisse, principal owner of Chez Panisse. She she got hold of the lease when the dry cleaners, which was what was in the building before us, when they were going
Right.
out of business because they were retiring. It was a family,
Right.
and
Yeah.
nobody wanted to take it over, so they were retiring, and they still own the building. But Alice got a hold of the lease because she wanted to control who went in there. And the three founders of Cesar all came out of Chez Panisse. It was Richard, who was the manager, and Dennis, who was kind of the maitre d', and Stephen, who was Alice's husband at the time. And they started Cesar. Well, we've been there for almost 24 years. We've
Right.
developed a whole culture around Cesar. We have
Yeah.
a fanatical following of
And actually, I
clients.
was, so just for people who don't know, I also was one of the starting, because I actually built it with Richard and Dennis.
Right.
We actually built the place entirely from scratch.
And you worked there for many years. You worked there for,
Until 2005, until 2006,
oh, so that's like
98 to whatever.
9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Olivia and I overlapped a little bit.
Yep.
We worked
Yep.
together for a couple years before you
Yep.
left. So anyway, last year, Chez Panisse told us that they did not want to renew our lease. We had an agreement that we had the option for 3 more 5-year leases, but they said,
Wow.
nope, that's it. We want you out. And Alice wanted to do something on her own in there, and she wanted to kick us out. So we exercised an option for 1 more year, and now we're facing eviction. They want us out by the end of July,
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
so
So
we
it's,
started an online petition. It's at savecesar.org.
oh, I should have put that.
Uh,
Save Cesar.
savecesar.org. We've collected more than 3,000 signatures. People have written letters. We've told people to write letters to Chez Panisse telling them how they feel. And actually, tomorrow night, Chez Panisse is reopening for the first time in 2 years. They're opening their dining room, only at a 25% capacity.
Wow.
And they've been closed through the whole pandemic, and we've been open and doing
Yeah, I
business.
know, that's
They've
crazy.
done some
Yeah.
takeout, but so it turns out a whole bunch of our customers are going to be picketing out front of Chez Panisse tomorrow
Oh,
night
wow. Okay.
for their opening
Well,
night.
the thing is, it's I think, and I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna tell you what I think about it, and I think a lot of people think the same way. We love Alice Water. We love Alice.
Yeah,
That's not the issue. We just want Cesar to stay. It has,
yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like those are two different components here.
We've
Alice
always
is
been a
a
very
fantastic
good neighbor.
woman. She does great. Yeah, exactly. But Cesar has to stay. She wants to open I think she needs to find another spot. I know maybe it was a great place for her and it's perfect, but it's not perfect to remove a place that is such an ingrained into the community. I mean, Cesar has built a strong, strong name in the community. It would be weird to remove that just to have another ship. And I don't know. Like,
They
this is
should
my
focus.
opinion.
They
So
should focus on getting their own restaurant open. And
yeah, because that's going to be a lot of already finding staff. I mean, it's a nightmare for everyone. And we pay, I mean, for me, I just put an ad 10 days ago. I was looking for chefs to do classes. Minimum starting pay is $45 an hour. And I don't have a lot of, I found a couple of cool new chefs, so it's good. I don't need a lot, so that's really lucky. I'm not opening my second kitchen. There's no way I'm going to be able to find 25 chefs. So when I was open full time, like 2 years ago, I had 25 chefs.
wow,
You can't do that now. So I had to close the kitchen entirely, and I only stay open in one kitchen, and my other kitchen I do my reboot, our drink that is sold at the Berkeley Bowl and Monterey Market. So I think for Cesar, I think this. I mean, I hope that's not going to happen. I hope you guys are not going to be kicked out, because that would really suck. That would really remove a huge, beautiful, incredible place that is doing so well and is so recognized in Berkeley. But
a lot of our customers have said, "Look, we love Chez Panisse, but it's
yeah,
where we go for special occasions. Cesar
exactly.
is where we come all the time. We come here
Right,
every
right.
week or twice a week or whatever, and people
Right.
are really angry about it, and
Yeah, exactly. I am.
it
I think it
pains me
starts
because I don't want to see Chez Panisse and Alice be the bad guys in this.
exactly
I wish they would just say,
right.
okay, you guys do
Exactly.
you and we'll do us. And
That's the idea. You know, we need
we
to
were a
keep
very good neighbor for all these years.
right.
We complimented them well. It was the place where their clientele would come to have drinks before going
Yeah,
up for
the
their
staff,
reservation for
all the
dinner.
staff used to come have drink
Staff
every
comes
day,
over and
every
drinks.
night. No, it was a close relationship. We had a great relationship with those people
I mean,
for the whole
I
time.
used to, when we would go there to eat, my wife and I, for birthdays, anniversary, I would call up and say, hi, this is Jim from Cesar. And oh my God, I would get a reservation. They would take good
Exactly,
care, you know.
exactly, exactly. No, I used to go also a lot. Always good, super well received, great treatment. So no, it's not the issue of not liking Japanese or Alice is a crazy crazy bitch or whatever. No, she's a
Yeah.
great woman. She's
And
fantastic. She's done some fantastic stuff. But Cesar has to stay. Those are two different,
yeah,
completely different things, right? It's right. It's not against Japanese. It's for
right.
Cesar.
I've known Alice for 30 years and I've always admired
Right.
her,
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I've always been on board with her message
she's
about
she's done some
food. And
crazy stuff, man. It's beautiful. I mean,
but
she's a
that's what's so odd
really
about it, because it's so contrary to what they
right.
preach. I mean, they talk
Yep.
about
Yep.
tradition and community and all
Yep.
this,
Yep.
and yet they want to shut down what
No.
we're a vital part of the North
Yeah,
Berkeley community.
absolutely. And
We're
Berkeley and whole Berkeley.
all of
Because James,
Berkeley. I mean,
look at all the places that are gone or
yeah,
are barely making it. No, Cesar was there. You guys worked during the whole pandemic. I was really tough. You kept it going. That is
yeah.
a fantastic, incredible stuff. I'm really,
We
you know,
we when
I'm
we had to close for a few weeks at the very
right.
beginning of the pandemic,
Yeah,
and then
I
we
remember that.
reopened to do takeout business only.
Oh
So
my
the
God.
restaurant itself was closed, but we set up tables in the window and we did takeout.
Yeah.
Uh, but it was only a couple of us doing it, and when we were able to finally reopen with indoor dining, we got the entire front of the house staff back.
Wow, that's
And that's
crazy.
just
That's
unheard
incredible.
of.
That,
It's
that
just
that is
unheard of.
incredible. Really,
And the
really incredible.
reason is because people love to work there. And one of the reasons people love to come to Cesar is because there's that continuity. They know they're going to recognize everybody, that people, we're going to recognize them. We greet them. We know a lot of people by name. Of course, we don't know everybody by name because there's too many of them. Some some curmudgeon that there was a people were posting things when we got a big article in the Berkeley side about this whole situation, and people were posting messages on it, and some guy said, oh Cesar, they try to learn your name so that they can get a bigger tip. I'm like, I
Ah,
turned to my wife and I said, who is this person? I said, what kind of a world does he live in? I said, we know a lot of people's names because they come in every night. It would be weird if we didn't know their name.
after 20 years,
After
yeah,
20 years, if I
right?
didn't know these
Like
people's name
Peter,
that come in every day at 5 o'clock, there'd be something
Like
wrong
Peter.
with me.
Yeah, who's there? Peter. We have
Peter and Paul and Cedric
Paul,
and
Cedric. Oh my
Patrick
God,
and
Patrick.
all
Those
those guys.
even I left what since
You've
what
been
15
gone
years.
10 years and you still know their
I
names.
know these people. Every time I go, it's a family
Oh,
thing.
and they
It's
always
really
ask
amazing.
about you. Hey, how's Olivier doing? And
Not dead.
because they know we're doing the show together. Patrick's a big fan of the
Yeah,
show.
Patrick. Yeah,
He's always watches it, and they
that's
all
great.
seen the
That's
books. And
great. That's great. Well, hopefully
it's just. I mean, one of the things that makes Cesar special is the people that work there. We all have been there a very long time.
I know.
I mean, Bill's been there since the beginning. I've been there 17 years. There are people that have been there 12 years, 10 years.
James, we're almost at the end of the show.
Yes,
It was fun though.
that was a good
So you
show.
guys, if you want to help Cesar,
Go to Save Cesar and sign the petition. We got over
again,
3,000 signatures now, but
again, it is not against Japanese. I want to make sure that's
no,
clear because it's not like when someone is a crazy woman. No, they all have something to do. They have interests, separate interests. The only thing that Cesar needs to stay, and Alice
yeah.
is a fantastic woman, but Cesar needs to stay.
I just don't think they realized the
Right.
impact that this would have.
Right. Okay.
I think they thought it
Right.
would all go smoothly,
Yeah.
but people are upset about it. And I think
As they
once they
should.
really realize what this means to everybody, that they'll change
It's
their
their
minds and give
bar.
us our,
They're losing something. They're
yeah,
really losing something. We're losing
yeah,
something. It's not.
yeah,
It's not light. It's a heavy burden.
yeah. So
Anyway,
thank you. Thanks for joining us. We're out of
thanks,
time.
man. Good to see you, James. I'll see you at the bar. Anyway, I'm gonna come
Yeah.
and see you. And
Yes. I'll be the guy
all
doing
right.
this.
Yep.
All right. We'll see you next week.
See
Same
you.
time,
Oh,
same
wait.
channel.
Who's coming? Oh, Frode.
Frode,
Yeah,
long
long
live
live
Cesar.
Cesar. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
man.
Frode.
All right, guys. Good morning.
Cheers.